Finance, I'm going to give you so many formulas for this section. It's going to take up a significant chunk on your study sheet once we get to finance. 24. Page 24. And I got a little ambitious when I put this together, so I'm not going to cover over every single item on these pages. I'm kind of going to skip. I'm just going to ask you to fill in different sections. So many of you probably are not going to buy a vehicle outright. It could be, if you can, that's great. So they borrow money from a lending institution and pay it back over time. You need to understand that the bank charges interest, which is essentially their profit, okay? So the total principal is the amount of loan you were given by the bank. You will need to have repaid this in full. This can be called the loan or the total principal. Can I just ask you to, it also becomes the unpaid balance at times. Can also be referred to as unpaid balance. Guys, follow along now, okay? Total interest. This is the finance charge. Also known as the cost of borrowing. We call this TI, okay, total interest. Total paid to the bank is the sum of the total principal and the total interest. So I'm going to use two different colors here. I'm going to use green for the total principal, like that's how much you're actually borrowing. But guess what? You're not going to just pay back that part. You're also going to pay back some interest. So if you, basically what you will pay back the bank is going to be what you borrowed from them plus the total interest that they end up charging you over time. And here's the visuals. A lot of you said visuals help you learn. Okay, so consider this 10 grand, 20 grand, I don't care how much you're borrowing. That would be the principal, right? And then they end up putting some interest on it. So total paid to the bank is all of that. Okay. I will already give you a heads up. Total paid to the bank is going to be total payments, total amount in payments that you've given them. That's how you figure out how much you have paid them in total. Then you've got your monthly payment itself. Okay? The monthly payment that we're going to calculate, okay, the monthly payment you're going to calculate is going to be blended. Okay? The payment is blended. Use the two different colors that I used up top already. Part of it is going to be interest. Part of it is going to be interest. And another part is going to be principal. Every single payment is going to be part interest, part principal. Okay? A couple of items that you need to know. The term of a loan is the time it takes to pay it off. The interest rate R, it's just the interest rate, obviously, as a percentage. We convert it to a decimal by dividing it by 100, of course. I will say amortization is going to come back later when we do loans, so I'm just going to leave that. We're going to skip 25. Skip page 25, go straight to 26. And at the top of 26, have you done amortization tables in grade 11? Does that ring a bell? You did every month, you filled in how much of your money goes to principal, how much interest. If you didn't, maybe you were sleeping or maybe your teacher didn't cover it, I don't know. But watch this. We have always a remaining balance, like how much you owe. And every single month, this is month number 1, some of your money is going to go to interest, some of your money is going to go towards the principal. Okay? Let's add up what these two, let's use our calculators and add these two up real quick. Interest and principal. What does that add up to? 810, 66 plus 500. Sorry. That's 860, 66. Okay? That is your payment. You can write it down up top here, payment. Your payment, the 50 of it is interest, 810 is principal, but combined is, that's what we call it, blended. Let's add up these two numbers here for the second month. Okay, 45.95 plus 814.71, this number right here. What do you get? Same. Yes, exactly. What do you think the next month is going to be? It's going to be the same, but some of you are not believing me yet, so he's just making up stuff, right? There we go, 860. 66. Okay, so the payment stays the same. What do you notice? Look up here. What do you notice with the interest? What's happening to the amount of interest as time goes by? It decreases. Why does it decrease? Because after every payment, you knock off some of it, right? So they're like, oh, you owe us less. So the next payment is going to be less interest. That payment is applied, now you owe a little less, you'll be charged less interest, and less, and less. So the amount of interest is going down until eventually it's almost zero, right? So every payment of 860, right, will have this portion right here, what remains. The bank says, thank you very much, this is our profit. They take that from your payment. The rest is what they apply towards what you owe, okay? And that's what's going on. Like, in fact, can we calculate, if you subtract these two numbers, can you figure out what you get? Let's subtract those 2 months here. So, what is it? It's not 860.66. It's not. Let's subtract these two. 9189.34 minus 8374.62. Where does that number come up? See that number right there? Did I make a mistake? I probably made a mistake. I typed it in wrong, but it's the principal. This is what brings down your unpaid balance every month. It's the principal portion of your payment. You have to understand that. You will probably not see this part. Your bank account, you're only going to see 860.66 every month coming out. But this is what's happening in the background, okay? So if you were to come in after the third payment and say, forget this, I'm just going to pay this whole thing off. The bank will lose on all of this interest that would follow after that payment. They lose out on that. Okay? So if you can pay it off all at once, do it, right? Because then you save yourself all that interest that you would otherwise accrue. What kind of words is he making up, right? Accrue, accumulate, okay? Look at this. This is your bar again. This is the payment. If you wouldn't mind, I'm just going to do that for the very first one here. This is your 860.66. Do you notice that the height of the bar stays the same? It's 860.66 every month, right? Do you notice that? What is getting smaller though? Interest, yeah. My patience with your jokes, Mr. Dirksen, is getting smaller too. So you better up it, right? I'm leaving the good ones for the very end, so stick around. So anyways, that interest is going down, okay? So what is going up though as time goes by? Principal, yes, yes. I'm too excited when it comes to, I want you to know about finances, guys. It's so important, okay? Also, guys, one more thing. The longer you take to pay something off, the more interest you're going to pay. But it's deceiving because your payment, let's say you calculate in your loan over 3 years, it's 860.66, right? And you tell the bank, what about 5 years? What if I took 5 years to pay it off? This number is going to go down because now you have more time to pay it off. The thing is you have more bars now. More bars means more of these caps here, which means more interest paid overall. Okay, so you have to understand that. So let's go to 27, and I'm going to give you a bunch of formulas that I need you to have on your study sheet. It's absolutely important to have that. And you need to make sure you copy these the right way, okay? If you miss the formulas, you're going to get the wrong answers. So here you go. The amount of loan that you need to get from the bank is found by going the price of the car minus a down payment. Is there always going to be a down payment? No. Okay? So there's going to be a car, and if there's a down payment, we take it off, and that's how much you're going to have to go and ask the bank to borrow, right? That's going to be the amount of loan. Your monthly payment, okay? Monthly payment, that's how I use the formula. It's going to be the loan. But I'm going to repeat myself, okay? I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to say price minus down. You put that in brackets. This is what we call the loan. It's very important because we're going to use it for other parts. So I'll just tell you that one more time. We're going to take the loan and we're going to multiply it by a rate. And I call this the table rate. And it's going to be out of 1,000, always. And this is going to be the table rate. And it's going to be based on this table on page 32, which we're going to go and look at in a bit. And so basically, what you will have is, you will have the interest rate, and you will have the term. So it'll be 1 year, 2 year, and so forth. So you're gonna have to match the interest rate with the amount of time that you would like to take, and that is the number that's gonna go in here. Okay, so we're gonna go get our table. I want to make sure you understand that's going to be a value per $1,000. That's what that value is, okay? So that's the reason why this is going to be divided by 1,000 in our formula, because when you go grab that number from the table, it is a value per $1,000 of loan. So that's your formula right there. Let's go look at that table real quick. I'm gonna go page 32. I'm always gonna give you that table so you don't have to like open your booklets when it's quiz or AC time. I will provide you with that table. So let's go to 32. This is like the full-blown.
Excuse me, Attorney, can I please get a custodian to contact the office, please? Thank you.
I want you to highlight this. Your monthly payment per $1,000 of loan is on page 32. At the top, you have your term of the loan. Is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year loan? What is it? And on the left column, you have the interest rate. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to find the interest rate that the question provides you with, and then you're going to hover over to the number of years that this loan is signed for. And once you decide of a value, you're going to circle it and take it with to your formula and plug it in. So all of these are dollar amounts, right? So if you were to have a 4% interest rate and you wanted to take a 5-year loan, then it's $1,852 for every $1,000 of loan that you would have to repay the bank. Okay? Let's go back to 27. Oh yeah, before I move on, you won't always need a table. If they don't give you a table, if I don't give you a table, this number is going to be in the question. It's going to say you need to repay $30 for every $1,000 of loan or something like that, okay? That is hint, hint, it's given to you. You don't have to go get a table, okay? That's your monthly payment. Once you have it, it's fixed. It doesn't change anymore, okay? So total paid to the bank, total paid to bank. I don't want you to shorten this because then students forget what the formula is even asking for. So you take your payment, you multiply it by 12 months because we're always doing monthly, and you multiply it by the number of years. So if the question asks how much has been paid to the bank by the end of the loan, you just take your monthly payment that you figured out before, you multiply it by 12. That's basically how much you've paid in 1 year. Then multiply it by the number of years, and where you go. Total interest on a loan, which is also known as the finance charge. Total interest. I'll tell you already, this is going to be copy paste of what I just gave you. We're going to take everything we paid the bank. So it's going to be PMT times 12 months times the number of years. But here's the kicker. We're going to go minus the loan. So these three numbers being multiplied is how much you paid the bank. Then you can subtract how much you borrowed from them in the first place. And that difference is the interest that they've charged you. Okay? So that is important. Make sure you double, triple check so you get the formulas right. Interest paid on the first month, just the very first month. You go, I call this I lowercase. I will go first month. You take loan. You multiply it by the interest rate. And you divide it by 100. You have to divide your interest rate by 100. All of that gets divided by 12 because you just want the first month. Okay, That's how you do interest for the very first month only. I'm going to add first month's payment. If you want to find out how much of your first month's payment is going towards interest, you got to use this formula right here. Take the loan times the interest rate divided by 100. This turns it into a decimal, right? And then you divide everything that you get by 12. Total principal paid on the first month. Principal is going to be your payment minus the lowercase I, like this interest that you just found here. Next, total paid for the car. For the car, right? This is how much you've paid for the car. You take your down payment and you add everything that you paid to the bank. So I will rewrite this with variables. Total paid for the car. Take your down payment if there was one, plus payment times 12 months times the number of years. So the kicker is that, right, the important part is that you would then just add your down payment to everything that you've paid the bank. This is how much it costs you in total to buy that car at the end of the day. So if you go buy a brand new car and it's worth $50,000 and you're going to finance it over 8 years, you're probably going to pay almost 10 grand worth of interest. So you can't say the car cost me 50 grand. It actually cost me about 60 grand, right? The interest is still a cost of borrowing. Okay? Almost done. Note, to determine the payment, the bank determines the interest for the entire loan. Okay? If you want your payment, if you want to think of your payment in a certain way, it's the interest for the entire loan. Then the bank adds it to the original price, original principal, and divides it by the number of periods you choose to pay it. This would be an addition to all your formulas there. So the total cost of purchasing, this is how I want you to think. Let's zoom out, bird's eye view, okay? Total cost to purchase any vehicle ever that we're studying here. You take your sticker, you essentially add any taxes that apply. If there's a down payment, you take the down payment away. At the end of the day, you would have to add the total interest that the bank will calculate ahead of time, right? And then essentially, the payment is just this entire amount divided by the number of months. That's how they find out the payment. This is very rare that you're going to need this formula, but if you think about it, if they throw a curveball at you, this is what you want to think of. I would say this: if all values provided without interest rate, like if they don't give you an interest rate or anything like that, chances are they're going to give you all of these numbers. They just want you to know, what do I add, what do I subtract? Okay? Okay, where are we at here? I'll do an example and then I'll let you work for the rest of the class. Well, not the entire class. I just want to add a few things towards the end. First example here. No down payment. This one has no down payment. Highlight that. $28. You need to borrow a total of $31,500. This is your loan. The question says outright that's how much you need to borrow to buy a new car. The dealership offers a 5-year loan at an interest rate of 3.5%. It's probably worth highlighting. You have no down payment. Calculate the monthly payment. To figure out the payment, let's write out our formula first. We take the price minus the down. We multiply it by some sort of table rate over 1,000. I'm just going to go table at this point. $31,500 minus 0. Table rate divided by 1,000. Let's go get that table rate. We got to get this number. So we are at 3.5% over 5 years. 3.5% goes here, and I just go all the way over to the 5-year mark. That's the number that I need to take with me. Okay, 1819. So it essentially becomes 31,500 times 1819 divided by 1,000. And you decide how you want to solve this. I will divide this first because it's in brackets, so it's 1819 divided by 1,000. Right? You get that? Then multiply that by the number that's in front of it, which we call the loan. So our payment is $572.99. So that's 5. This is where you want a dollar amount, dollar sign, circle it. That's our final answer. Can you make sure you label this? This is our loan. It's going to be important to understand that after you take the down payment away, that number is our loan. In this case, that's how much we're borrowing. And to borrow that much money, we need to pay back $572.99. Okay? 2 marks. Why 2 marks? Because you had to go get something from a table and calculate the rest. That's usually a 2-mark question on the exam. The total amount paid back to the bank in 5 years. That's what they want to know here. And I'm just going to do this for our notes here, but you know that this is total paid to the bank. So simply taking our payment, multiplying it by 12, and multiplying it by the number of years. You have $572.99 times 12. In this case, it's times 5. You will have paid back $34,379 and 0.4. You can't have that. You have to have another 0, right? You have to have 2 decimals. And it makes sense, right? You're always going to pay back more than what you borrowed. So this is the amount that you will have paid back. The total interest on the loan, total interest, also known as the finance charge, be comfortable with that wording, because sometimes the province uses what's the finance charge. It's the same thing as the total interest. TI is payment times 12 times years minus the loan. I know that my payment is $572.99 times 12 times 5 minus the loan is what? 31,500, right? It's the number in front of that table rate after any down payments have been deducted. I'm gonna cheat here a little bit. This I already calculated before, right? 34,379. So I'm just gonna redo that. I'm just gonna copy that down. $sign. So you pay $2,879.40 in interest. D, the amount of interest and principal paid in the first month's payment only. Please don't mix that up with total interest. If it's first month's payment, we want to look for a specific formula. And I will always say start with the interest first. That formula is like this. Loan interest rate divided by 100, all of that divided by 12. My loan is the price of the car minus the down payment. Since we didn't have a down payment, it's the 31,500. The interest rate, not the table rate. Please don't use the table rate. And it's divided by 100, not divided by 1,000. Check your formulas. That's a very common mistake. Okay. Either students make both out of 100 or students make both out of 1,000. It's going to be the wrong answer. Okay. And I'm not going to rush. Often, guys, I do this right away before showing it in the formula. I just go this divided by 100 to just save myself a little bit of time and space. Okay, so I divide that there. So at this point is 31,500 times 0.035 divided by 12. So it's 91.88 if you round it to 2 decimals. That's the interest. Because we're asked to figure out 2 things, I would label this. This is the interest. Out of my payment, which is $572.99. So to figure out the principal, I'm going to take the $572.99 and subtract the $91.88. Okay, I subtract these two. And I get 481.11. Where does this money go? Where my pencil is? Who gets that money? The bank? It's their profit. What does this amount do? It brings your unpaid balance down. Okay? So they take their share every month. If you do bi-weekly, they'll do it every 2 weeks. But we're only dealing with monthly in this course. Okay? So every month they take off the interest, and the remaining goes towards bringing down what you owe them. In this case, we were owing them $31,500, right? So after the very first month, they're going to subtract this from what you owe them. Next month comes along, they do this all over again. I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to do an amortization table, not today, but probably tomorrow. Okay. Now that I talked a lot and I, showed you a bunch of examples, I'd like you to try these buyers on your own now. Go to 29. I'm just going to give you a heads up on that one there. Most of the time when it comes to loans, taxes are already included, most of the time. Sometimes they have been known to ask you to add taxes, but most of the time taxes are already taken care of. So for example here, this price right here is already after tax, so taxes have already been taken care of. You saved up $4,900 for a down payment. Whoa, there's a down payment, watch it. Okay? And watch this here, I'm going to highlight it. The blended payment rate is 24.07 per $1,000 of loan. What is that for us? What did I call that? The table rate. So this is already the table rate. I'm going to make a note here. Table rate. Okay, so it's basically 2407 per $1,000 of loan. Okay, can you go to page 32 and check it? Sure you can. If you want to, you can check it, but I already gave it to you. Okay, I'm going to stop talking for a little bit and just walk around.